Hi everybody and welcome to my kitchen. Today I'm making a roast goose with red cabbage. And I'm starting off by cutting the mirepoix just in very rough slices or dicing it very, very roughly. And I'm putting it away into a roasting tray. And while I'm cutting, I have my oven preheated to 120 degrees Celsius. So this is a recipe that takes very long, but only has very few ingredients, and you can do other things for most of the time while the goose is roasting. So I'm peeling the onions and I'm cutting them into quarters, like 4 pieces per onion, adding it to the tray as well. And next up, I'm taking care of my apples. So these are very small ones because they have to fit into the goose. And I'm taking out the core and then I'm peeling them with a pattern, not like all the way, but keeping parts of the skin on. And once that is done, I'm taking the cloves and the bacon and I'm wrapping the bacon around the apples and tucking it tight to the apples by using those cloves. So I need four apples, I need 8 cloves, 1 for the beginning of the bacon strip and 1 for the end. And you just wrap the bacon around like so. And try not to break the cloves, but push them into the apple carefully. It's quite simple. And then I'm just putting it aside. And you do that to all of the apples. And once that's done, it's time to fill the goose and take care of that. So this is all of the mirepoix and the onions in my roasting tray, and this is like a foundation or something where the goose is going to sit on top. So this is the goose that I used. It's 4.5 kilos or 4.25 kilos, I should say. Go for 4 to 4.5 kilos for 4 people, and you will be on the safe side though, so that everybody gets a nice piece. And I'm just seasoning the goose with salt and pepper from the inside and the outside. And on the inside, I'm also going in with 1 teaspoon of majoram. After that, I'm filling the bird with the 4 apples and just pushing it down. So that's why you want to use small apples so that they would fit into the goose. And making sure that everything is inside the goose. And then I'm using toothpicks to pinch the stomach part of the goose shut so that it heats through nicely. Also, I'm closing up the neck part of the goose. In a small pot, I'm heating up the 800 milliliters of water and I'm adding some instant chicken stock. And I'm going to let it boil once before I put it on top of the goose once in a while. So the goose is in the oven already on the lowest level possible. So that tray is sitting in the oven and you will see in a few seconds how that actually looks. And after 30 minutes at, again, 120 degrees Celsius, I'm going to cover the goose with a bit of that stock that is just boiling now. So here's the first go. You see how low in my oven the goose is sitting, and it's, if you can take the air circulation in your oven off, do so, otherwise the goose might get a little dry, and it's not the greatest thing. So I'm just covering the goose with a couple of big spoons of the broth, and then I'm putting it back into the oven, and you do that for every 30 minutes for the first 3 hours. After that is done, after the first 3 hours are over, you're going to have the goose sitting in the oven for another 2.5 hours. So that's 5.5 hours total in that roasting tray on top of the veggies. Once those 5.5 hours are over and it's done, take out the whole tray out of the oven and put the goose without any veggies or whatever. Just put it onto another dry tray or I don't know, some baking sheet or whatever you could use in your oven. Just let it sit on top for another half hour, so that would be 6 hours. And for the last maybe 5 or 10 minutes, add the grill to the 120 degrees Celsius. Just add the grill so that the skin gets nice and crisp and really, really brown. So this is my goose after the first 3 hours. That was just the last bit of the broth. And this is the goose after 5.5 hours. You can see that the skin has already split a bit at the breasts, but I don't mind if the meat is a bit drier on that smaller part there. So I'm taking it out and putting it on a roasting tray. So for the last maybe 15 minutes, I also added a pot to my stove with some red cabbage, just letting it warm up and heat through. And then I'm taking out, after those 6 hours, I'm taking out the goose out of the oven. I'm just carving it and plating it up. And I'm also using the apples as a side dish. And this quantity of bird and everything feeds either 4 people in one go, or as we did, we had this meal over 2 days. So one day it was the breasts and one day it was the legs of that birdie. So this is a very long recipe, like from the cooking time, but it's very simple and it's very yummy. And I hope you enjoy this recipe. Maybe give it a go and let me know if you liked it. It's, again, very simple, very yummy, and a good winter food, not just a Christmassy food. So thank you very much for watching. Please share, like, subscribe, and I'm going to see you next week with a new recipe. And have a very good one. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.